So the overarching framework is the UNCRPD, the United Nations Convention for Persons with Disabilities. So it has guidelines on how people with disability need to be represented in the media and even the language to use. So we just get all the guidelines from that, and then we can develop specific for specific countries and for the specific regions. So they already have a big framework. They say in the media, this is the problems we are having. In the society, the language that is supposed to be used, this is the language. And then from there, there's an organization like UNESCO, which is still UN. They still have also a framework on how media is supposed to report disability. So they have all these like short courses where journalists can be able to attend and also learn on how to report on disability. But most of these things people are not aware of. And also at Internews, they had a project on disability reporting. And on that project, we developed a manual, and we also train journalists in sub-Saharan Africa on how to report disability. So we have guiding frameworks. So we use just the overarching, which is UNCRPD. What does UNCRPD say about disability, personal disability? How are they supposed to be treated in the media, in the society? So from there, you just break down and use that to teach disability. The most common one referring to people with disabilities as persons living with disability. So for that, I normally tell journalists they live with their girlfriends, husbands, lovers, they live with their pets, they live with their grandparents, they don't live disability. You know, when you say someone is living with disability, it means disability na yeye ni kimoja. But when you say someone is living with disability, it means that person is very sick, or maybe they need medication to be able to deal with disability. So that word came from people living with HIV/AIDS. People living with HIV/AIDS, they are sick. They need medicine day to day so that they can be able to survive, right? But a person who is using a wheelchair, which is just like a mobility tool for that person, they are not sick. They just happen to be person with disability, maybe through birth, maybe through accident, and a wheelchair is just helping them to move around. So they are not sick. So when you say living, it means that person is sick. So that is number one mistake. Number two mistake is when I see a lot of stories of people with disability getting married. When you say a person with disability has gotten married, it means you don't value them as human beings. Because human beings, they have feelings. So they are supposed to get married, and it's supposed to be a normal thing. Another one, when we see stories, and there's just when it's a story of disability, we see very dramatic music. We hear very sad songs and even we see those clips, bad clips, to show that disability is something which is very sad, which we are supposed to be sorrowful, pitiful. When you see that, those are some of the bad things that the media is doing. It's doing maybe on a very good note, but it doesn't know. When you continue putting such narratives out there, when I hear some program is coming on and then it has sorrowful music, people are pity. See, what will happen to me? I will continue pitying those people with disability. So those are the mistakes we make. And then calling people with disability disabled. Disabled is like maybe a broken seed, so it is disabled. And even when we say in Kiswahili kiwete, kipofu, kinini, singelia kivi, ki, as in C is a ki, something, it is not a person. Instead of saying mtu mwenye ulemavu or something like that. Yeah. So those are the common things that I observe day to day. Journalists can only be able to navigate this when they have the right information, when they are educated. Remember, journalists are human beings who live in the society. Journalists come from different cultures. Journalists come from these cultures who see people with disabilities as scarce, as disadvantaged, as if you have albinism as a person, you need to be solved because albinism is an evil spirit or something like that. So that is how they have grown up. So the only way to remove them from that is giving them education, raising awareness, letting them know a different perspective. If we don't do that, then they still just do whatever they do because they're human beings first. They come from cultures and they have grown up with those perspectives. So they also need to get trained, retrained so that they can be able to do it the right way. Thank you.